And everything. Okay, thank you all for coming to this town board meeting. It's Thursday, June 6, 2024, and we'll start, as we always do, by saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance, oh my God, I'm sorry, of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Paul was between me and the flag, so I thought that was the only thing up there.
You thought it was missing?
Yeah, but I'm glad
We were hiding it behind Paul.
Okay, so emergency exits, for those of you that are first timers. The door you came in and then this door over here both will take you to safety in the hall, or to the hall and safety. Roll call.
Supervisor Blackman?
Yes?
Council members Winters?
Yes.
Rebellard?
Yes.
Ham? Here. Ahern? Here.
That's what we're supposed to say. Yeah. Okay. Do we have anyone who wants to make a public comment? Oop, George, take it away. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is George Bestranson. I live at 3498 Route 343 in Amenia. What is the character of the town of Amenia? I found this on the web. Amenia is a charming rural town loved for its peaceful atmosphere and beautiful nature. This is a parcel map of Amenia. The yellow in the heart and center of the town shows the King Stud Farm. I took some pictures of it this week. Here's one of them. At the moment, it's still rural in character. I think it's clear that a change in the character of this large, centrally located, and highly visible parcel will profoundly change the character of Amenia. Several town officials told me that the Silo Ridge development was accepted because it was believed it would bring in revenue that would allow the rest of Amenia to remain undeveloped. I hope this promise will be kept. Unfortunately, major development plans have already begun. Fortunately, the town board has the ability to keep the rural character of our town if it acts. Silo Ridge has bought 704 acres, including the King Stud Farm, in the heart and center of Amenia, and is proposing to subdivide it for luxury housing. This will profoundly change the character of Amenia. I urge the town board to look how other towns have curtailed unwanted development. The town of Gardner has kept development from the Shawangunk Mountains by zoning one house per 20 acres. Jamie Vitiello, a new planning board member, brought up the idea of restricting house size. Towns on Shelter Island, Long Island, and Cape Cod have done this to preserve the character of their towns. You may be a little surprised that a resident of Silo Ridge would be interested in restricting the zoning on a Silo Ridge property, but the residents of Silo Ridge will have a direct view of this proposed housing development. I can understand that they would rather keep their present view of a rural countryside. Some people say to me it's private property, they should be able to do what they want. I say not if you've accepted a tax break based on a commitment to farming the land. King Stud LLC is getting $2,350,300 in an agricultural exemption. With that exemption, they pay $3,572 per acre. By contrast, I'm assessed at $20,933 per acre. I think we have the right to require this property to remain rural and undeveloped. Thank you.
George, do you know if the public hearing has been set by the planning board? Not yet. Thank you. Anyone else?
Oh, I have something.
I thought you might.
Oh, my glasses broke. Can you give me 1 minute to put them together for a second?
Okay, then I'm going to time it.
What?
I was just making a
Okay.
joke.
Oh, okay. No, that's fine. I have a sense of humor. I definitely
I
do.
know that, yes.
This evening, I would like to discuss the assessments and taxes. I think that since Amenia is trying to revitalize the downtown and other areas of Amenia, that it's important that taxes stay stable and that there
Can I
should be-
interrupt you just for a second?
Sure.
You have to state your name
Oh.
for the people on television.
Oh, okay. I'll start again. My apologies. Okay, my name is Anna Vecchio, resident of Lake Amenia Road. And this evening, I would like to discuss the assessments and taxes. I think since Amenia is trying to revitalize the downtown and other areas of Amenia, that it is important that taxes stay stable and that there should be no increases. Even if the house gets assessed for a little more value than it does not necessarily mean you should raise any taxes. As it stands now, the downtown areas are not revitalized at this time. Since you have projected projects that are going to be put in place, you should get grants from the state. They have grants for revitalization projects for downtown revitalization, recreation, and other types of grants that can be used for many other things, such as Lake Amenia Road, on Lake Amenia Road. Also, you can get donations as well and volunteers to lend their services in projects they are interested in. Also, you must have some money in reserves as well, growing for such future projects as well. If you are correctly balancing your financials, someone needs to balance the financials correctly so that it does not affect the residents and your taxpayers. It is important that the residents feel comfortable with their payments and that they have at this time. I'm sure that is one of the reasons why they moved here in this area to begin with, and other reasons as well. You do not want to burden your residents with increases. You have elderly and other types of people that need to be thought of as well. It's very important that we think of them as well. If you have tax stability, your residents will be happy, especially the residents that have been here for many years, as well as new residents, including the elderly and those with disabilities who are on a fixed income level. Retired class is important to incorporate in your assessment as well. All of these need to be reviewed correctly when thinking of your taxes. You need to find out what classes retire people who are disabled or who are on fixed income levels, what your percentage ratio is. You need to balance it correctly while thinking of other people as well. Very important, the middle class as well is not the person that is taking on the burden as well as taxpayers. If you do a correct analysis of everything and balance the financials correctly, this can be done properly. All your residents will remain happy and do not have to burden the elderly and people with disabilities who are on fixed income levels so they can remain in their homes, which to me I think is very important. It is very important that small businesses are not affected as well in the downtown area, especially with the downtown revitalization. That is what will bring in revenue into the downtown area. Small businesses bring revenue and tourists and residents to shop there as well. To keep these type of businesses stable with their taxes as well is very important. This will keep small businesses here in town if they have this type of incentive, which is very important to small business owners. I will have to speak about this another time since we're only allotted 3 minutes.
Very good, you had rehearsed. And you'll be very happy to know that there's going to be a presentation about property values right after you.
Yes, that's the reason why I wrote about it as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
It's okay. It's okay, I'll sit over here.
I got here late, the thunderstorm got.
Are you sure? It's fine.
Hi, Vicki Doyle, 320 South Amenia Road, Wassaic. I'm just wanted to thank everybody who came out for the Memorial Day ceremony that we had at Town Hall. It was lovely. We had VFW 5444 lead the program, and I just appreciate everybody coming out and thanking our veterans for their service. I also wanted to make sure that we mentioned the Garden Club's tour that's coming up on July 13th. Maybe you already have that covered, but it's July 13th.
I hadn't, and it's a good thing you're doing it.
Yeah, I thought you had a lot on your plate, so I wanted to make sure it got mentioned. So it's from 10 to 2, and there are 4 gardens and 4 new gardens and 1 past garden, and you can just go on gardenclub.com and find the tickets pretty easily. So they're on sale now, and it's a Saturday, and it's really fun. Thanks.
Thanks for letting us know. Anyone else? Oh. Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gay Parise. I live on Bog Hollow Road in Wassaic. And I wanted to just say the plan for the park in the center of town. I mean, I love parks, but I really feel that we have two other parks that are in desperate need of help. And I went over to Beekman Park the other day on my way home, and you can't even tell there's a public park there. There's so much growth on both sides of the driveway going in. The sign is tiny, and it has a soccer ball on the sign. And all there is baseball diamonds there. They used to be soccer there, but not anymore, I don't think. I don't know.
There is.
Pardon me?
We have soccer there.
You have soccer there? I didn't see any soccer nets or anything set up.
Yeah, they're only set up for the season.
So only during the fall season?
Correct.
Okay, well,
It's a we have to multi-use them. To
Yeah.
keep lines on everything, it would.
There are soccer goals set up down at Wassaic Park
there
consistently.
are not lines, though, set up down there. There's nothing
No,
set. No, there's nothing there.
The residents that asked for it didn't ask for the lines.
So, anyway, we need so much to be taken care of for these two parks. We might be getting a third park, which is the towers, the charcoal furnaces. That will be essentially another park we have to take care of. So I think the town needs a lot more work on our existing parks, signage. Like I said, you don't even know you're going into a public park. You know, it's not at all manicured, and there's poles down for parking up against. It just doesn't look so good. Anyway, what do I know? It just doesn't look good. And I just think, I'm not against taking money from an organization, but I think we should spend it wisely and take care of the parks we have now that need help, real help. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
With regards to the park and stuff.
DJ, you have to introduce yourself, even though we know who you are.
DJ Riley, I'm part of the rec commission.
Rec chairman.
But with doing what we want to do around here, it's just going to bring, everything up. We're only putting a splash pad in. It's not like we're doing a lot. We want to get the grounds so we can use it because it's so wet now. So we're going to do a lot of renovation on the fields. And then we want to put up a amphitheater for multi-use and stuff. It's not like we're adding a lot here. You're still going to mow the same stuff. The main thing is the amphitheater and we're not using any of the town's money to get started on this. We're going to get a generous donation from AWCO. We're using some of the cell tower fund money, but that can only be used for what we're doing. So I think moving forward on the green is a no-brainer.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Could I speak?
Yeah, sure, why not?
So I just want to mention to the community that the Amenia Rec Commission spent $50,000 at Beekman Park over the past 2 years. They purchased a brand new pitching machine. They improved all the fencing because there were balls flying over into the playground area. So they put higher fences up. Just this past season, they spent $20,000 on brand new bleachers. I'm sure if you reach, the batting cage was a donation from AWCO 3 years ago, which was $20,000 donation to the town. Beekman Park has been, a lot of money been put into it the past couple of years. Something that had been ignored for years. Beekman Park has not been taken care of, and we've been working hard or they have. When I was there, I was working hard on it, and now they're continuing on that. That's all I just wanted to say. It's just the parks are not being ignored. This idea down here, around this here, we've already got a park. We got a playground in the back. We got a basketball court here. The field down here, that's where the Amenia Monarchs started in 1895. That field has been used for recreation for 100 years. It's just basically fixing that field so people aren't getting flooded out. That's it.
I like to add that I learned to play baseball there. And a few people have approached me. There is a heritage. You talk about the beauty of this town. That is part of our heritage, that field over here for recreation. I do not think that can be ignored. yeah, I think there was something in the Millerton News about the soil being added to the ground there. And I've had some phone calls about people concerned about flooding because of past projects behind the church. And the reality is that part of this project is to address an issue that was never addressed, and that is putting in the proper drainage. So not only do you get the proper drainage for the project, but you do get a recreational benefit for the community. And it really can't be used for anything else other than recreation because of the fact of the water table being so high, and also some zoning regulations. So I think it's considering what we have on our plate right now to deal with, I think it should be well considered. Thanks.
I wanted to get a public comment before you guys. So Charlie Miller from Wassaic. I think that Paul makes a really good point that Beekman Park over the last couple of years has required $50,000 worth of work. That park, the concession stand needs to be redone, which is about $250,000. That's the quote from the architect for that. I believe that the light posts and the lighting at that park also need to be addressed. I believe that that project is probably, $400,000, give or take. So there you're, $750,000 worth of work that's needed for that park alone, an existing park that is used by the residents. So I personally think that that would be a focus of any funds, town funds. And the area around Town Hall, if it can only be, it just doesn't seem like a wise investment in my opinion. And there is an ongoing upkeep. There's operations and maintenance of every one of our parks that has to be taken into consideration. So to the extent that you're going to put a splash, I believe that the concept is a splash pad. I don't remember there being like a bandstand in the concept plans that I saw.
It's more like a pavilion
Okay.
slash
Okay.
theater type
So,
thing.
all of that has a yearly operations and maintenance cost to it that would add additional cost, and that should be something that could be considered too. I think it's great to get a donation. It would be great if that donation was used for the existing park that we have now. Even the architectural plans for the concession stand I don't think have been completely fleshed out. So that's just my opinion. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we have a presentation. Donna DePippo and Charlie Miller.
I know, I need a costume
Take it
change.
away.
I'm going to sew, I forgot the numbers. Let's see if I can. Is there any way we can make that just a smidge bigger? No.
There you go.
I'll see if I can do it. So, Charlie Miller, Budget Director. I wanted to, this sounds crazy, I know we're just at the beginning of June, but we actually are sort of starting to kick off budgeting for the 2025 town budget. And I thought it would be good if I could give 4 different presentations over the next couple of months that look at various different items that go into your real estate taxes. So the one that we're going to start off with tonight is assessed property values, and we're going to go very fast. This will be posted online, but there's a lot of stuff the town board needs to do today. So these are the 4. Tonight is assessed property values, and then in another month or so we'll go over the expenses. And then revenues, so we do receive revenues outside of your real estate taxes, and then how all of that, shakes up and you pay your property taxes. And we'll just be speaking specifically about the town budget. Your assessed value is actually used to calculate the amount of money that is equitably shared amongst all of your citizens for the school budget, fire district, depending on which fire district you're in, and a couple of others. So we're going to go through what fair assessments are, the assessor, sort of her 4-step process, market valuations, because in New York, market values are what your assessed value is based off of. So it really is a market value. Some stats about Amenia, just the assessor's calendar, and then we'll wrap up with a couple of simple comments. There's a lot of words on this slide. But for the most part, what you can take away is the assessor is governed by New York State real property law. So they are not just pulling something out of their hat. They're ultimately, applying the law to their assessed value. So all property, all real property, must be assessed at a uniform percentage value. And in Amenia, we do 100%. So market value, 100% of market value becomes your assessed value. There are some places that use another percentage, but everybody should have the same value. So value is defined, again, as market value. And market value is the most probable sale in a competitive and open market at arm's length. So this isn't, I sold my multi-million-dollar house to my daughter for $10. That's not an arm's length transaction. It has to be a competitive and open market for a willing, knowledgeable buyer and seller. And annual reassessments. So the assessor's office actually annually reassesses every real property in the town, and Donna will go over exactly how that's done. But the idea here and the founding principle is that it has to be equitable. It's a beneficial and stabilizing tax rate spread across people. Efficient and effective, so that the use of local government resources are applied equitably. That valuable, that the value, let me see, where am I at here? Sorry. Yeah, I know. I was like, I turned 51 and I lost my sight. Thank you. Here, this is a lot easier. Let's see. So that it's understandable and rational for taxpayers. So I think some people are a little confused. We'll go through exactly how, the assessor's office looks at market rates. So maybe that'll be a little bit more understandable. It is valuable in what our state aid is to our town. So this is specifically for the school district. So the ways that state aid comes into our school district. Also, some of our state aid that comes into our town budget is based off of our overall assessed values. And it should be fostering an environment that is developing economic growth. So the assessor. The assessor is appointed by the town board, much like the building inspector is appointed by the town board. They provide fair assessment in determining the market value of each property. So the thing to realize is that the assessor has no goal of making something more or less of a specific value. They are really a nonpartisan individual coming into the role, looking to establish what market rates are in the town. They maintain an inventory of all the properties, so that is the assessment role that they maintain. That's their responsibility. They are available to taxpayers to understand what their assessment is. Anybody who has written into the assessor's office here knows she's amazing and gets back to you. They process exemptions, so there's the STAR, senior citizen, veterans exemptions. So if anybody feels like they should have an exemption, they should come to the assessor and see if there's potential for applying for one of those exemptions. They maintain all the changes to the assessment roll. So changes can be vacant property was improved, or a pool was added to somebody's house. Those kinds of changes. And again, they have no interest in over or under valuating real property. And their goal is to produce an equitable assessment. So the whole idea around property taxes is spreading out the tax burden to people equitably, given what their market value of their property is. I have a little arrow here. So Donna's going to go through these 3-4 steps really quickly.
All right. I'll need my sheet. You'll have to excuse me because I don't see that far usually.
Could you state your name for the
I'm
audience?
sorry, Donna DePippo. I'm the assessor. Most of you I do know, but I don't. There was 2 people here that I haven't met yet. So nice to meet you. That would be the sheet I'm on now, and I have to walk that.
I know that you have it.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's double-sided. It's our environmentally friendly printing.
So the four-step process, first being discovery, examining the records of the county clerk. Those would be deeds, easements, perhaps subdivision maps if we haven't gotten them from the planning department already, but that's just a sampling of that. Reviewing the building permits, field inspections, interaction with property owners and the occupants. Listing would be maintenance and updating of the records to link the properties to the respective owners so that a current assessment file is created. Classification is determining the correct class for all properties located in the town according to its use on the assessment date. There's many different classifications that we use in real property. And the valuation is property is valued according to the criteria specified by state statute. This includes notifying the taxpayer of the value and the administration remedies that must be followed if the taxpayer disagrees with the assessor's valuation. And that's the period that we had just gone through recently, where people wanted to come in, discuss things with us. If there were issues, we would go out, we would do the inspections. If we agreed, there'd be an agreement. If we didn't, they would have a recourse to the Board of Assessment Review. So that process has just been done about a week ago. The next is valuation, market value. The assessor compares properties to market changes and comparable recently sold properties with similar characteristics in the trend areas. So the first being classification. These are examples. Lot size, the use being residential, agricultural, the acreage, etc. Location, neighborhood location, subdivision. Those would be examples of that. Size, square footage, your bedroom count, bathroom count. Design, ranch, two-story, modular, mobile home, things of that nature. Features could include pools, lakes, views, tennis courts, generators. Quality, your age, recent renovations, grade and condition would go in there. Priority amenities, golf courses, restaurants, concierge services, equestrian centers, movie theaters, bowling alleys, game rooms, tennis courts, wellness centers, ice hockey rinks. Different type of properties and different locations change in value at different paces, and that we've seen. The next example is valuation, a market value example. And there's an artist rendering of one of the luxury homes with the now I'm not going to say that right, proprietary, I'm sorry. I had that right the first time. They have those amenities. And then the second one is a modest single-family home in the town. And basically, these properties will have very different market values because virtually none of their characteristics are going to be similar. And again, that's what you're looking for, similar characteristics, similar areas, etc. The next one is valuation, market value example. What drives market values? There are different things that will drive the market values. One of them is location. And I'm sure all of you have heard that before. That's a big factor. Zoning districts, views, new development, which would be just built new homes, luxury offerings, property features, and priority amenities, which are not accessible to non-members. As a note, 2 1-acre vacant, unimproved residential lots may have very different market valuations based on location, their zoning district, priority amenities, etc. These.
Do you want me to jump in?
Yeah.
So I think it's important people have asked, they've asked me anyway, why does this house on this 1-acre lot have an assessed value of, I'm just going to throw out a number, $1 million, and another, house, 1 acre, same sort of square footage, has an assessed value of $750 or $500. And frequently it can be, what are the attributes of those homes? Because it is all sort of based off of market values and comparables. I mean, the assessor's office goes out and looks for comparable, properties to come up with a market value. So this slide here shows all the different types of homes in Amenia. And these are actually all types of property, real property in Amenia. There is a very modest single-family home on a small lot. There is a a somewhat nicer, two-family home on a little bit of a nicer block on the bottom of that slide. Then you have, Cumbies, they pay real estate taxes. They're a commercial building. Freshtown, they also have an assessed value. Four Brothers, we have luxury development, land and luxury developments that will have a much higher market value and assessed value because they have a lot of amenities that are very specific to them that nobody else can use. So all of those come into play in our total town assessed value. And this number is a little bit kind of, oh my God, but our total town assessed value is $1.3 billion. So, and you're like, oh wow, how is it that much? Well, if you're a numbers geek, you can actually go on to the state website has where you can drill down into it. You can also drill down into it at Dutchess County.
Can you just explain, because it said so quickly, what do you mean the value of $1 million?
No, so every property's assessed value is added together to come up to our town's total assessed value. So when people, and this is on the notices that go out every year when the assessor sends the new assessed values, there's a big sentence that says, this assessed value does not determine your property taxes. Because if your assessed value goes up, let's say 5%, but the town's total assessed value, so everybody's value added together goes up 10%, then your share of the town taxes actually goes down. Does that make sense? It's because you now are a smaller percentage of the whole than you were. And so what makes the whole go up? Let me go back to this slide here. Thank you. So two main things actually make the total of town assessed value increase. Unimproved property that's improved. So a new development had a vacant lot and they built a house. And that house now has clearly much more of a value than the vacant lot. Significant improvements to a home. You had a ranch, you got a building permit, you doubled your square footage, you added a pool, right? That's going to increase the total town's assessed value as well as that parcel's assessed value. Make sense? So this is just a breakout. I love this chart. It shows the different categories of real property that we have in our town. There are 2,099 real properties here that are part of our assessment roll. And the vast majority, percentage of the total assessment is residential properties. So we don't have a lot of commercial businesses, right? We don't have a big widget shop, something like that would have a high assessed value. We possibly could have more assessed value in our commercial properties if we have more commercial properties, so we could have more restaurants, more shops that sold stuff. But for the most part, the tax burden goes to residential properties, 72%. And a couple of quick stats. So this is Dutchess County. The median residential sales price in 2023 was $420,000. That's probably not too far off from us. By the way, median is right in the middle of a list. Average would be adding up the whole list and dividing by the total number of participants. So this median is a really good way to find out what is in the middle of something versus the average. Our average would probably be a little bit different because we have a luxury development, homes that sell, I would say probably in the $3 to $5 million is their average over there at Silo Ridge. You can also see how much it's increased since COVID. I mean, we went from, in Dutchess County, 375 to 420 in 2023. A really important thing, Silo Ridge now is 45% of our total assessed value. So that means that that development has diluted, again, going back to my example, if the overall assessed value increases by 10%, but my assessed value only increases by 5%, I'm diluted, I have less of a share of the pie. Clearly they are carrying a much larger share than several years ago. There's 2,099 parcels. And the exemptions is an interesting thing. Again, you can look at all this online. You know, going back to you're able to apply for a star exemption, maybe you're a veteran, a disabled veteran, I think gets you even a bigger exemption,
Yeah,
right?
it does.
Yeah. So about 20% of the parcels that are in our total town assessed value have some kind of exemption. And an exemption means that they pay less of a share of what the overall town taxes would be. This is a funky little thing. Again, you can go on to the Dutchess County website and find it. It breaks out what our total assessed value is. You can look, and everything is public. So if you're interested in knowing what your neighbor's assessed value is, or if you think, oh, it shouldn't be that, go online and look, you know, and maybe something is wrong. I mean, I think the assessor will be the first one to say, this is both art and science. You know, it is, we don't live in a perfect world, but this is the most perfect way that, you know, the state and most other states have found to do assessed values.
I looked on the Dutchess.
We can talk a little bit later, because I'm running a little. So the assessor's calendar. Most of this is established by state law. The valuation date, this is an interesting one. So it's July 1 of the preceding year. So when I bought my house, I got, you know, a couple months later, I got my bill, and I was like, well, this isn't what I paid for my house at all. And I called up the assessor, and he was like, well, we have to use values that are from July 1st, the preceding year. So in real estate, it's always a timing thing. I mean, Brad's a real estate broker. He'll tell you that. You know, values that are, you know, recorded for transfers really established when a sale happened a couple of months ago. And this shows that sometimes, you know, the data that the assessor has to use, you know, is not exactly what just happened. Let's see. The other really important one for most people, the tentative tax roll comes out on May 1. So that is all of the work that the assessor's office has done is sent to the county, and the county publishes the tentative roll. Grievance Day, which just happened. So this is interesting. We're a small community. We share our assessor with another community who pays her thing over there. So the grievance day, when you're able to come to the Board of Assessment Review and say, hey, this is my documentation, I don't think my assessment is right, is the Thursday following, this is a little weird, following the fourth Tuesday of May. The fourth Tuesday of May is established in the law, and because our assessor is an assessor for another town, everybody in Amenia gets a couple more days. So,
That's
isn't that right?
that is.
And then July.
And I would touch on the taxable status day. Just rather than skipping over that, the taxable status day is important because that's the day that everybody would have to have their exemptions in. And that is also the day that bears the condition of all property in the town. So you have, you know, a date of March 1, what is the condition of a property on March 1? And then you have what is the valuation, which is a year prior. So it's an interesting concept, but one of which people should know. All exemptions are due on March 1, and we do try to get that out there, of course, but I just wanted to bring that up because that's an interesting fact as well.
So you assess them annually every year?
We do here, yes.
Yes, and that's it. So I will say, everybody mark your calendar. I know we've passed March 1, but if you think that you are due for an exemption, you know, mark your calendar so that you get in touch with the assessor's office.
Anytime, of
Yes.
course. Doesn't, you don't have to wait.
Yeah. And so the question about the annual assessment is really important too. You know, there are municipalities that do not do annual assessments. It is really important that our town actually does, because that means that there's no property that just sits there with the same assessment that they had from 1990 when they did, you know, some kind of big improvement. Again, going back to equitable. We want to be able to spread the tax burden across all parcels equitably, and it's been determined that value, property value, is the best way of doing that. The quick final comment, but we already went over this. You know, the assessed values does not increase or decrease what your real estate taxes are going to be. You know, there are a few other factors that go into that. One, what those ultimate budgets are, less the revenue they get from outside sources, comes to the amount to be collected by taxes, and then that's multiplied by whatever your percentage of the overall tax roll is.
Now, does the money go into reserves?
Well, we're not, I'm sorry, we're not going to, we're just kidding. We can talk, we can take questions later. Let's see, and you know, your assessed value is used, I mean, everybody who pays taxes here probably knows this, right? School budget, county budget, the fire district, special districts, so if you're in the water district and the water budget, the usage fees don't cover all of the budget for that district. You'll have some taxes related to that based off of your assessed value. And then I kind of want to drive this home again. You know, the thing that really changes the assessment rolls is updates and new builds. So, you know, people can have positive, negative thoughts about Silo Ridge, but that was the largest new development we've ever had in town, and it has, you know, outweighed our most residential single-family homes tax burden as it relates to the overall assessment rolls. Does the town board have any? I tried to go fast, but maybe I didn't.
Yeah, I do. And Charlie, thank you for mentioning that I am a real estate broker. But for 10 years, I was also a real estate appraiser from 1990 to 2000. And I've worked with several towns, assessors, and first and foremost, most of the time when the assessments aren't right, it's because the record isn't right. And it is a burden of the community to come in and work with the assessor to correct the record to make sure things are correct. And that usually is one of the biggest problems there are with assessment records. Additionally, and I don't know if this is still correct, but commercial pays 1.5 times residential rate in taxes, correct?
They're paying the same tax rate that's applied to their commercial building. Are you using it as an average?
Yeah. So something I read, I used to use in our appraisals.
I'm sorry.
Something in our appraisals, in other words, per pound per value.
Yeah, they would give a certain percentage towards
Correct.
something.
So if you're 100,000 on a residential, that's the one.
Right.
So commercial at 100,000 will be paying 1.5.
I think it would still be the same rate that's applied to them, and it's going to go against their assessment. So to do it on a, like if you have a commercial property that's 300,000 and the rate is $10.50 for that particular, whether it be town, county, school, let's just use school because they're higher, it's the same rate that's applied. It's applied against the assessment. So
Based upon the assessment is the assessment, yeah.
I wonder if what you may be thinking of is, and I'm not going to get into a whole discussion on that, but there's homestead, non-homestead. And homestead, non-homestead towns, if they have adopted that, they will pay a higher rate. So you would absolutely be correct on that. So possibly some of the towns you're speaking of, if you look, they'll, in the totals on the back of their assessment roll, they will have a section for homestead, non-homestead. And homestead would be your residential properties. They do get a lower rate.
Right.
And that number that you're giving me, 1.5%, kind of makes sense by what I know of homestead non-properties and non-homestead. But I think that that's what you're thinking of.
Okay.
And I think that was absolutely true and still is true to this day. Is that percentage different? Very much so.
But not in a median.
Not in a median.
Yeah, in a median. So, thank you. And I have a couple more things. Additionally, Charlie, you didn't mention that there's agricultural and exemptions that are applied in Amenia as well, and forestry exemptions, et cetera. Donna, do you happen to know how much property is under exemption right now for agricultural in Amenia?
A total
Acreage.
property acreage, I could run a report for you.
Yeah.
I don't believe the acreage is shown on the assessment roll. It
Yeah.
will show how many parcels are agricultural. It'll show what the exemption is on agricultural properties that is actually, exempt from the roll. But I can easily run a
All right.
report for you if that's something you need.
I would love to know that, because we do
Yeah,
have,
I'd be
the
happy to
Dutchess
do
Land
that.
Conservancy, is going, 20, 30 years involved in our local towns, and a lot of these large, open, beautiful spaces, for that matter, have been
Right.
preserved, and they have agricultural exemptions, and not a lot
And
of
you're
people.
looking for the total of a piece. So in other words, you can have an agricultural parcel that has, let's say, 100 acres.
Right.
They may not use the whole 100. They may be getting the exemption on the 30 acres that they're utilizing.
Right, there's a minimum acreage,
But
I think it's 10.
I would be able
yeah.
to run the properties, like how many properties, what's their total acreage? Is that
Yeah.
satisfactory
And would you
to
be willing to give us a little update at a town board meeting?
Yeah, of course.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
All right,
Or
and
I
then
can email you all too, whatever you prefer.
reports and checking there.
So it's total acreage of ag properties.
Exactly. I think that was it. Oh, I know what it was. So, and I've run into this a lot when people talk about assessment and assessed values. And they talk about 100% assessment, you know, and it's how it's adjusted per year. There is a misconception of what that means versus a town-wide assessment. And there are regulations, I don't know what they are, but every X amount of years, they do a reevaluation of the entire town. And somebody goes door to door, property to property.
Correct.
That is not what they're talking about. They're talking about state and county rates and the percentages that adjust our current values. And I just wonder if you can take a moment to explain that to the
Yeah,
public.
absolutely. There's two different programs. There's a full reappraisal program, which is done, as Brad said, they used to call it like boots on the ground, where they would show up to your homes. They are usually done, they're hired out, most typically, to companies that will literally go house to house, do full measurements, get interior inspections, and do full reappraisals on these properties. It is a big undertaking for a town. It's very costly. My understanding is the last time the town of Amenia had actually done that was in 2010, and I can verify that for you, Brad.
Wow.
So once a town reaches 100% of value, they will then do updates on a town, and they continue those updates as long as they want. Like Brad said, you can, and typically it is advisable from the state that you know, you do it every 6 years. I believe that that's what's in the manuals. Some towns do and some towns don't. It really depends on how you fluctuate. The town of Amenia has maintained that 100%. So they have annually reviewed their properties. Again, I'm new here, newer than, you know, so I can't speak for what happened before, but I have looked back at the records and they have maintained it since 2010. So if they decided to do a full reappraisal, that would be a program that they could look into. Again, it is costly. What we do now, as Brad said, it's updating. It's annual reassessment, it's updating, and it's looking at sales from year over year. And it's comparing them and where did those shifts, you know, happen and what are they. But also, as Charlie said, there's a lot of benefits to keeping at 100%, which is, you know, admirable that the town has done that. It's a lot of work to do that.
Thank you.
I wonder,
You're welcome.
because I think Brad brings up, if I could quickly.
Yeah.
So we actually, there is set aside money right now, I think it's $80,000 or so for a full, that would not cover a full town reassessment. So the town board may want to discuss that. It is going door to door, and it possibly would uncover you know, properties that have been improved that nobody knows about. You know, there are, Don and I were speaking about, there are systems that you can actually license so that you can see aerial shots of all the land around and see where things have been built, you know, today versus 5 years ago, and go, oh, well, we should go identify that property. But aside from doing something like that, which unfortunately we don't have that kind of aerial photography in those systems yet. But you know, the town might decide they want to do it. But we have done, you know, annual reassessments, which are very important. And I will say, by the way, just on the ag exemption, there are a number of conservation easements that we have in the town. That doesn't impact your assessed value. So sometimes people see, and I thought it, I was like, oh, there's another sign, they aren't paying their taxes. But that doesn't impact your tax burden. Or I should say, your assessed value. See?
But the property owners get a payment for that, right?
Well, that is all dependent upon how they went into conservation. Yeah.
I believe all those programs can be very different.
Yeah. Some of them will pay. Dutchess County now will pay. They'll do an appraisal of the property and whatever's going into
And most of the
easement.
public doesn't know that, by the way, that when you put in conservation easements or I'm sure, Ian, you can explain that clearly, but there's a payback. In some cases, there's a tremendous payback. I know of a few locally that were tremendous paybacks, you know, just for the development rights to disappear and maintain open. Yeah.
And generally, it's market value. So, I mean, they will actually come out and survey and appraise. And if anybody out there in you know, watching this is interested, they can reach out to me, and I can put you in touch with Dutchess County Land Conservation. Their funding will start again in January. I think they've already identified all properties, but it'd be good to start speaking with them if you're interested in that.
Thanks both for doing this, but we have to move on.
Thank you, and I just wanted to say Charlie did a fantastic job with this presentation. I had nothing to do with it other than reviewing it. And it really was a fantastic job on this part, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Can we turn the lights back up?
Kind of nice like that.
I know, but,
Is that the mood?
yeah, it was a little too moody. I thought.
For what, sleep?
I don't want to answer that. Okay, I think next is the supervisor's report. That's me.
Did you email it?
I'm sorry?
Was that email?
No, I didn't. I just finished
Yeah.
it before the
I can
meeting.
be funny.
All right.
Thank you.
But you'll hear
We
it.
need
I'll
it.
hear it. It wasn't sent out previously. Okay.
It'll be a surprise. So, Gay, don't make me call you out.
Bye. Are you leaving?
So I'm going to try to keep this reporting briefer than usual, as I want to make a statement at the end. The first thing is Memorial Day. Monday the 27th was the Amenia ceremony, which was indoors this year, and I gave my first Memorial Day speech, which was exciting. And then the VFW was very welcoming at their lunch afterwards. And on Thursday the 30th was Memorial Day at Tally Ho, which included a parade and a marching band, so I think we have to up our game in Amenia. The head of their VFW post gave a really, he's a Desert Storm vet, and he gave a really amazing speech directed mostly at the kids in the band about, coming together for a major effort like World War I. Senior swim has been a problem because we're having a really hard time getting lifeguards. Rosanna and Katie are, both trying to solve that problem. Highway Garage, we're voting tonight to send out the request for proposals for the engineering and architecture firms to take that ahead, to move that project ahead. The Water District, right now, there's a water engineer testing our wells for groundwater contamination, which was required by Dutchess County. And we are going to open bids, RFQs from engineers this evening. The gymnasium floor, again, we have bids this evening to provide and install a floor. The town hall interior, the planning board and the ZBA are going to start working out of this room for meetings this month, and those meetings will from now on be televised. The planning board is first next Wednesday. That's going to be the test case. Northeast Community Center. We're going to vote tonight on an agreement with NECC, Northeast Community Center, for their satellite social services office, and also for reviving our farmers market so that the market can begin the end of the month. And I think both are going to have really big benefits for the town. Workforce housing, there was a meeting with Hudson River Housing and the owner of a new property for potential development that would be house-scaled units. Committee vacancies. We need new members for Recreation, Water District, Wastewater, and the Housing Board. If you want to improve Amenia, it's really important to participate. Please send a letter of interest to Dawn Marie Klinger, Town Clerk, and then she'll set up interviews. Also, we're still trying to find a second building inspector, and it's been really hard to do so, and the other supervisors and mayors in Dutchess County agree. My statement was about Amenia Green. Since we're voting tonight on proceeding with this project, and despite my conflicted feelings since I was a liaison to the Recreation Commission for a few years, I just wanted to explain my votes in advance. And since we had a previous special meeting that wasn't televised, I wanted to just put it on the record. Recreation received a very generous donation to pay for construction and design documents for Amenia Green, and will transfer a portion of their own capital funds for the balance, all of which I'm totally happy with. But I cannot support applying for the $440,000 grant from New York State Parks. I think one thing that most people don't understand is that once that grant is accepted, the property next to Town Hall will be designated by the New York legislature as parkland forever. And that seems problematic to me. Our comprehensive plan encourages a vital walkable downtown by making the center denser so as to protect farmland. This land is virtually the only piece in the hamlet that could be developed with new mixed-use buildings. We need to keep our options open, especially as a park will bring in no new taxes, but residential and commercial use will. While the middle of the property is in a floodplain, there's land along the edges that can be built on. The center could still be a green, and I'm suspicious of claims that DEC has okayed raising the grade by 6 inches, as that would cause flooding further downstream, which they tend not to like. I am frustrated that Recreation has decided to proceed with building this elaborate plan based on how soon the location became available, rather than any evaluation of which improvements are most desired by residents and affordable. I would think that those include the splash pad and children's play area, plus a pavilion to be used for the music series, and it still is not usable by the farmers market, but it should be. And these and the basketball, tennis, skateboard area can be done without giving up the rest of the space. It seems hard to justify redoing the parking at Town Hall for $230,000, which is not really in Rec's purview. And if we really need to increase it significantly, it probably makes more sense to build a deck on top so we get a significant amount of parking. Also, draining and reseeding the field for $300,000, or to spend $90,000 for a walking trail when they already exist at nearby Beekman Park, Weebatuck, the landfill rail trail, and are part of the plan for Wassaic. I would think that 5 would be enough of a town of our size. The total cost for this project is by first estimate $1 million. We've been told that will be at no cost to the taxpayer, which I don't find credible. The grant requires a 25 to 50% match from the town. Extensive new plantings will be needed to be maintained, unlike the rain garden now behind Town Hall, which quickly became overgrown with weeds. I'm also bothered that Rec has not done a lot to upgrade the properties it already controls. In fact, they chose not to include Beekman Park in the master plan. If they had, many features not to be built until phase 4 might have found a home there quickly, a dog park, for example. And there's no schedule for fixing the play equipment or ball field lights there, although the pavilion is in process. I think the landscape architect, Jane Dodona, created a terrific scheme. I think, though, that Rec didn't get enough public input before she started. Nicole sent me the minutes, which actually I had to go back to the originals because I couldn't read the whole thing. But there was a presentation in the auditorium, which most of you probably remember, to the town board and the citizens on February 21st of last year. There wasn't a record of the number who attended, but only 5 residents spoke. On June 13th, there was a second presentation with 15 community members present, but only 7 questions are noted in Rec's minutes. That's a total of 12 responses in a town of 3,500. There was no systematic surveying of residents. This seems very little information on which to base a $1 million plan, and I find that fiscally irresponsible. For that reason, I will vote no. Okay, next. That would be you, Dawn.
That is I. Hey, good evening. So for my report this evening, we are going to start with the minutes from the last meeting. Erica has circulated them to you. Has everybody, I know several have had the opportunity to reply back. Is everybody okay with the minutes that Erica was kind enough to do?
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Is there a motion to accept?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Paul? Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Council members Winters?
Yes.
Revillard?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
And Ahern? Yes. Great. Thank you, Erica, for stepping in on a very special day in the Kligner household. And as I know, she said that she indicated, so a huge shout out, because I do have the microphone for a hot second here, more than 3 minutes, of course. So congratulations to our daughter Carly on graduating for the University of Tennessee. We are extremely proud of her and all of her hard work and efforts. And we continue to shine, and we're proud of her. So continue, as she is a part of our community. All of us will continue to support her in her future endeavors. So we look forward to seeing what she has yet to come. We had a great presentation this evening. At our next town board meeting, I will be presenting the official tax collector report. That'll show you what of our paid and our unpaids. And I'm going to compare and do a comparison of last year to this year, because that's going to, I think it's going to be a great follow-up to also provide some additional information and facts of this year, how the impacts and the assessed values have potentially caused a change in our paid status of parcels. So we did have RFP for our gym floor, and with that being said, I do have 3 electronically and 1 in person. These bids, as we've discussed here among the board and with all of the persons involved, I do have them here electronically, and I'm going to acknowledge receipt of them and tell you who they are from. Our first one is from Thor Performance, and within this it does show indications providing the scope of work with costs for 4 components and some references.
I
2
should note
pages.
actually that this is a very complicated bid, only because part of the idea is if we can save or reuse the maple floor or oak floor underneath the layers that are on top of it, it would be significantly less expensive to redo that floor than to put down a new one. So each of the bidders was asked to price removal of the top layers and refinishing the floor, and also if the underneath looks bad, to put back the plywood and do a new floor on top of it. So it got kind of cumbersome, but I understand that Tracy will kind of break that out for people before we have to go through in detail.
Our second bid that's being received is from Dynamic Sports Construction. And they are there, and I'm able to open it. Our third is from Murray Forth.
I'm sorry, from who?
Murray Forth, and he has the name of a company. Let me just that one. Forth Sport Floors Inc. That's who it's from. And then our last one that came, just challenging me. Gelato Associates Incorporated, Gugliotti, they're out of Connecticut. Oh yes, there's numbers within. There's 2 components that there's only 2 areas that they're answering. So just so everybody knows why this is like a little bit complicated here, normally we do have hard packets. I'm here able to copy, circulate. So we are trying something moving into 21st century of doing electronic bids. So we have to sit here and I have to just read from the screen, and I apologize that it's not more exciting than that.
And you'll be distributing those to the
I'll do it
board
tomorrow. I'm
members
going to make
so we
copies
can-
of everything and then send out all the PDFs of what was got, and I'll send it to everyone that we need to get it to. So we did receive 4 for our gym floor. The big one, RFQ for our water district. We received 7.
Wow.
What? I don't know whose phone it is beeping like that.
Oh.
Our 7, thanks Hannah. Our first one received on May 29th from LaBerge. Our second one received on February 31st, H2M. Third one, Delaware Engineering. Labella and Associates. MJ, just MJ. CT Mail and Ty M Bond. So that's I think pretty exciting to have the whole gang. And I will put that all, and I'll circulate it to the team as discussed previously. So does the board need to make a motion to accept the 4 and the 7?
Yeah, you do, the board should just do a motion to acknowledge and accept the bids that have been accepted and to circulate them for review and a decision for
Next meeting.
next meeting.
Okay.
Leo?
I'll
wanna
make that motion.
I'll second. Nicole? And that is for both the RFP and the RFQ.
Yes.
Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Council members, renters, I know you said yes.
Yes.
We're going. Revler?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
And Aaron?
Yes.
Great, thanks guys, I'll have that out to you guys tomorrow in the morning. And since we did have some fun, and I did hear comments earlier about the number of cars we had here in the parking lot, I would like to personally give a shout out and a thank you to the Dutchess County Medical Reserve Corp. I had the pleasure of working with Wendy and her team. And our top dog 4-H local club was here. Thank you, Satori girls, for being here and spending the evening with me as we watched a very informative pet first aid training. It was well received. Mrs. Ham was also present in the audience, and we had many local residents. There was approximately 60 individuals that were in the audience, and I think the space really worked out for them. And I had the opportunity to speak with Wendy, and I think that we may be able to be a venue for them for future classes. So I suggest, hey, quarterly, or even if you get 2 a year, the auditorium, I'd really like to welcome them with open arms in the future.
Great.
And just to save the date, you guys all know how much I love to do our blood drive. Our summer blood drive is going to be hosted at the Amenia Firehouse, right at the Amenia Firehouse. And the best news is you're not just giving your blood because you want to save a life, because you also get free Mets tickets. So if that's not a selling point.
And when is it?
We're going to host it on Tuesday, July 2nd, and it's from 3 to 7:30.
What happened to the Girl Scout cookies?
What happened to the Girl Scout cookies?
Yeah, you had those last year. That was much better.
Okay.
What was the date again?
Tuesday, July 2nd.
What were the time?
I will have cookies there. There'll be cookies. It's going to be from 3 to 7.
Okay.
So I'll have this posted up in the front bulletin board. You can scan with your phone the QR code and sign up. It's easy. Everybody knows how important it is to donate this.
How many days ahead, if you have an iron deficiency, should you eat steak?
I think you should start right now. I mean, if we end this early enough, maybe we can start tonight. But that's it. That'll conclude the town clerk's report. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Are there other board or committee reports? Nicole, I see you rustling. Were you going to give the
I had-
rep report?
I don't think rec had a report. I think
Oh,
we
okay.
rotate it.
I did have something from the enhancement committee, and I think it was related to the Fountain Square water supply problem. I'll just find it for you. Here it is. Yeah, there's apparently, the water hydrant at Fountain Square definitely needs to be repaired. And so, they can't attach the hose to anything, they're carrying buckets. And so in this feed, I think, Leo, you were notified, and I think Vicki Doyle made a comment as well about this issue. What's the update on that?
You're so funny, Brad. I don't know. What have you done about it since then?
Well, I'm just trying to answer Margaret's email. She asked a question.
Well, we're going to have to get a plumber to fix that.
Okay, that's the update that I need to report to her then.
Okay,
All
great.
right, thanks.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. We had a discussion topic, but the Amenia summer camp was canceled due to the lack of participants that signed up, which is really disappointing. I know that Katie and Rec have been working on that for a really long time, and it was going to be a really exciting program. But we have a lot of competition. There's a program in Dover, there's a program in Millerton, and of course the Amenia Wasaic Community Organization and Maplebrook run a program at Maplebrook School.
And Wasaic Project as well.
Oh, and the Wasaic Project does their art camp too, right? So, so there's a lot of competition. So I guess, it's frustrating because Katie tried when she first got here to make it happen, and part of it is that it's very hard to find young people to be counselors and people who are trained to be lifeguards. I think that Katie suggested that kids might want to go to the camp in Maplebrook this summer, and I want to make a motion for us to refund all fees paid by the campers, all the deposits paid.
I'll second that.
I'm giving it to her.
Doesn't
Your
matter.
joke. I did hear you first, though. Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Council members Winters?
Yes.
Rebellard?
Yes.
And Ham?
Yes.
And Ahern?
Yes.
I'm like, well, she said it, like the argument of like, so I know you're gonna say yes. Please. Okay.
Here we go. So that brings us to resolutions.
Do you remember where we're at?
Do we know what number we started with?
67.
Resolution number 67 of 2024, authorizing execution of service agreement with the Northeast Community Council, Inc., does business as Northeast Community Center. Whereas the Northeast Community Council, Inc., DBA Northeast Community Center, NECC, is a not-for-profit corporation organized pursuant to the laws of the state of New York, and whereas NECC provides a wide range of programs and services to the rural communities in Northeast Dutchess County, including providing transportation services, food access, community services, and family, teen, and youth programs. Whereas the town of Amenia acknowledges the longstanding work of the NECC, and whereas the town wishes to engage in a service agreement with NECC to expand NECC's services in the town of Amenia, and whereas NECC is willing to expand its services to the town of Amenia upon the terms and conditions as set forth in the service agreement, a copy of which is annexed here too. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. The recitations set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. The town board of the town of Amenia hereby acknowledges that they have read the terms and conditions set forth in the aforementioned service agreement and hereby accepts the terms, conditions, obligations as set forth in said agreement, a copy of which is affixed here too. 3, the town board of the town of Amenia hereby authorizes and directs the supervisor to execute the service agreement by and on behalf of the town of Amenia in substantially the same form as annexed here too, provided that any further revisions do not substantially modify the town's rights or obligations, or if they do, that such modifications be subject to final review and approval of the attorney to the town. 4, the town supervisor is hereby directed to provide a copy of the service agreement signed by all parties to the town clerk, who shall maintain the same in her files. I think I'll make that motion, but I just have to check something. Oh, so we don't actually, the specifics are in the agreement in terms of what they're providing. Okay. Okay.
I'll second. Ian, you're in agreement with the terms here? Anything we should know about?
Yes, the services provided, that are going to be provided, Leo and I had conference calls with NECC, which I thought were very productive, and I think it's going to be an exciting program for Amenia. So I've reviewed the terms, we've gone through the terms, subject to any minor edits that I anticipate. Yes.
It's
What's-
fixing out in the audio.
Oh.
Face it in.
Sorry, any better?
The answer is yes. Thanks.
Yes.
And just to remind people, the agreement is that the NECC will have office space in Town Hall where they can provide a range of social services like they do in Millerton, but people in Amenia who are served there won't have to travel. And presumably there may be some after-school programs and some programs for seniors as well. They're also going to recreate the farmers market that we used to have on Friday nights. And they run a program in Millerton already that's been very successful. And since the originator of the farmers market left town, we haven't been able to keep one going. So I'm kind of excited that they provide all the management, the music, and the marketing for that.
Okay, Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Councilmembers Rebellard?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Winters?
Yes.
Ahern? Yes.
Okay.
Resolution number 68 of 2024, approving proposal for engineering services from Crawford and Associates Engineering and Land Surveying PC to conduct an investigation of the Beekman Park septic system, whereas the town of Amenia is seeking to retain professional engineering services to conduct an investigation of the Beekman Park septic system, and whereas the town of Amenia requested quotes from 4 different engineering firms and only one proposal received by Crawford and Associates Engineering and Land Surveying PC dated April 14, 2024 for professional engineering services to conduct an investigation of the Beekman Park system, and whereas the town board of Town of Amenia would like to retain the services of Crawford and Associates Engineering and Land Surveying PC to conduct an investigation of the Beekman Park septic system, and whereas this is a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act and therefore not subject to review under SEQA, and whereas a professional engineering service to be provided by Crawford and Associate Engineering Land Surveying PC to the town constitute professional services which are exempt from bidding requirements under Municipal Law 103 and the town of Amenia's procurement policy. Now therefore be resolved as follows. The recitations set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as it fully set forth and adopted therein. The town board of Town of Amenia has determined that this is a type 2 action under SEQA and therefore not subject to review under SEQA. The town board of the Town of Amenia determines that the professional engineering services to be provided by Crawford and Associates Engineering and Land Surveying PC constitute professional services which are exempt from bidding requirements under the General Municipal Law 103 and the Town of Amenia's procurement policy. The town board of Town of Amenia hereby approves a proposal from Crawford and Associates Engineering and Land Surveying in the amount of $5,000 in accordance with the proposal dated April 17, 2024 for professional engineering services to conduct an investigation of the Beekman Park septic system, a copy of which is annexed hereunder. Town board, Town of Amenia hereby authorize town supervisor to execute the, to execute the annex proposal of Crawford and Associates Engineering and Land Surveying PC to conduct an investigation of Beekman Park septic system. Town board of Town of Amenia hereby authorizes the payment for said engineering service to be paid from. Motion?
Amenia Park E budget line 071104.01.
I'll motion that.
I'll second that.
Discussion, right quick. I just want the community to be aware that back in the 90s, the Amenia Lions built that concession stand for free to the town. They also installed the septic system. So there was never, back in the 90s, things were done a little differently, early 90s, and there was never any drawings created either for the concession stand or for the septic system. So that's what the purpose of this is. As they work towards improving, Rec Commission works towards improving the septic system, there needs to be some kind of drawings so it can be Board of Health approved.
Right.
But the main thing is everyone has to realize that recreation for all the years in this town was done by volunteer services. Beekman Park, Wassaic Park, everything. It's only been recently since COVID that we've needed to start looking at the fact of having to spend some taxpayer money to start improving our parks. Before, we were able to get the volunteers. We were able to get the volunteers to run the Amenia Summer Camp program. It's a different, story here today. So unfortunately, we have to spend some taxpayer money to be able to improve these things.
I have a question. So do we have any idea how much that might be and where that comes from?
It's 5,000.
I'm sorry.
This is $5,000.
No, I get
You mean the
that.
pavilion?
No, I mean the whole, I'm assuming that they're going to find that something needs to be done to that septic system. So where will that money all come
I
from?
guess the first thing is that I don't think they know yet. That's why they're doing this, to find out what the condition is and how big it is, to see whether that will pass DOH muster. And they will presumably, as part of this, provide a kind of an estimate.
I would
of
personally
cost.
think that any kind of cost that the Rec Commission is going to encounter is going to have to be taken under consideration by them and then applied in their budget or proposal.
Donation.
Or they'll try to do it under donations, like we used to. But the Rec Commission has a budget that they have to provide and approved by the town board. That's where those things will get addressed, I would think.
Okay.
Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Councilmembers Revelard?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Winters?
Yes.
Ahern?
Okay.
You want me to take the next one?
Yes, thank you. I was just about to ask.
Alrighty. Resolution number
69.
69. Approving proposal for planning consulting services in connection with the preparation of zoning text amendments. Whereas the town of Amenia is seeking to retain professional planning and consulting services for the preparation of a zoning text amendment to regulate cannabis sales within the town of Amenia, and whereas the town of Amenia has received a proposal from AKRF Environmental Planning and Engineering Consultants dated April 24th, 2024, for the professional planning and consulting services for the preparation of a zoning text amendment to regulate cannabis sales within the town of Amenia. Whereas the town board of the town of Amenia would like to retain the services of AKRF Environmental Planning and Engineering Consultants for the preparation of a zoning text amendment to regulate cannabis sales within the town of Amenia. And whereas this is a Type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, and therefore not subject to review under SECRA, and whereas the professional planning consulting services to be provided by AKRF Environmental Planning and Engineering Consultants to the town constitute professional services which are exempt from bidding requirements under the General Municipal Law 103 and the town of Amenia's procurement policy. Sorry. Okay.
You got it. That's it.
I struggled through it. Now and therefore will be resolved as follows. The recitation set forth above and incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. The town board of the town of Amenia has determined that this is a Type 2 action under SECRA, and therefore not subject to review under SECRA. 3, the town board determines that the professional planning and consulting services be provided by AKRF Environmental Planning and Engineering Consultants to the town constitute professional services which are exempt from bidding requirements under General Municipal Law 103 in the town of Amenia's procurement policy. Oh, I got it that time.
Getting better.
The town board hereby approves the proposal from AKRF Environmental Planning and Engineering Consultants in the amount of $12,500 in accordance with the proposal dated April 24th, 2024 for professional planning consulting services for the preparation of a zoning text amendment to regulate cannabis sales within the town of Amenia, a copy which is annexed hereunto. The town board hereby authorizes the town supervisor to execute the proposal in substantially the same form as annexed hereunto for the approval of the town attorney to the town of Amenia, reserving the right to make amendments as necessary. The town board hereby authorizes the payment for such planning consulting services from
Engineering budget line 14404.01.
and budget line number. Okay. I will make that motion.
I'll second it.
Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Council members Rutherford?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Winters?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
We'll take the next one. You got it.
Rosanna, you want to take this? That would be 70.
Okay, resolution number 70 of 2024, authorizing requests for proposals for architectural engineering services for a new highway garage and salt storage facility for the town of Amenia. Whereas the town of Amenia is seeking to retain a qualified architectural engineering organization capable of providing comprehensive design and engineering services for the construction of the new highway garage and salt storage facility for the town of Amenia. And whereas this is a Type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act and therefore not subject to the review by SECRA, and whereas the town of Amenia has caused the preparation of a request for proposals for architectural engineering services for a new highway garage and salt storage facility for the town of Amenia, a copy of which is annexed here too. Now therefore be it resolved that the recitations set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. The town board has determined that this is a type 2 action under SECRA and therefore not subject to review under SECRA. The Town Board of Amenia hereby authorizes the formal solicitation for requests for proposals for architectural engineering services for a new highway garage and salt storage facility for the Town of Amenia from qualified architectural engineering organization capable of providing comprehensive design and engineering services for the construction of a new highway garage and salt storage facility for the Town of Amenia, as more particularly set forth in the request for proposals for architectural engineering services for a new highway garage and salt storage facility for the Town of Amenia. Number 4, the request for proposals shall be submitted for publication in the official newspaper of the town by June 10th, 2024, and posted to the town's website. Number 5, all proposals shall be submitted in accordance with the aforementioned request for proposals identified above, and such proposals must be submitted in writing to Dawn Marie Klingner, Town Clerk, no later than 2 p.m., July 25th, 2024. Number 6, upon receipt of the proposals, the Town Board shall review same and shall award the contract for the aforementioned services in accordance with the town's procurement policy and in accordance with the General Municipal Law number 103, except, however, the Town Board expressly reserves the right to reject any and all proposals in accordance with applicable law. I make that motion?
I'll second.
Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Council members Rebellard?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Winters?
Yes.
And Ahern.
Yes.
All right. It's been a long time coming. Resolution number 71 of 2024, approving Parks and Recreation Master Plan for the Amenia Greentown Green Comp Project. Whereas the Town Board of Amenia, on behalf of the Town of Amenia Recreation Commission by resolution number 73 of 2022, awarded the contract to the Donald Associates Landscapes LLC, DALA, to complete a master plan in support of various sites improvements for the Amenia Town Green and Wassaic Master Plan. And whereas DALA has completed the master plan and submitted it to the Town of Amenia for approval and acceptance, and whereas the Town Board of the Town of Amenia is desirous of approving and accepting the master plan, a copy of which is annexed hereto, and whereas the acceptance of the master plan is a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Service Review Act, and therefore not subject to review under SECRA. Now, therefore, it be resolved as follows. The recitations set forth before are incorporated in this resolution as it is fully set forth and they're adopted herein. The Town Board of the Town of Amenia has determined this is a type 2 action under SECRA and therefore not subject to review under SECRA. The Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby approves and accepts the Parks and Recreation Master Plan prepared by Dodona Associates Landscape Architect LLC, DALA, a copy of which is annexed here too. Motion made. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion before we vote, please. These next few items, they're all concerning this Amenia Green concept. Before the supervisor had a chance to speak, so far the town this project started 3 years ago under recreation. So far, recreation has spent roughly about $20,000 from the capital improvement fund in the town without going to the taxpayer. They've held 3 public sessions, which is roughly about the same as what we held for this wastewater district, where we then voted to spend $45,000, maybe more, of the wastewater. But there wasn't quite, everybody's concerned.
Are you saying 8? 8,000.
There was 8.
Oh, there were 8 public.
But
yes.
even then,
and a survey and door-to-door campaign.
even then the response wasn't all that well from the community. But yet we still chose to spend $45,000 of taxpayer money from the general fund. So far, recreation has not come to this town board and asked for any general funds to be spent. The next action thing is to talk about this donation that's coming. They have restricted where this donation can go. It can only go to this Amenia Green concept, master planning creation. I know people have discussed about the concession stand, which I don't think is going to cost $250,000. I think it's more like 12 or it was more like $20,000 or $30,000. And then the lights. The lights is a huge expense. I think it was the last time Miss Vicki Doyle was looking at it, it was probably $400,000 or $500,000 when we got quotes for it with the previous rec commission. That's definitely something that we're going to have to go and get grants for. But the rec commission has already taken their $130,000, $140,000 that they have in their capital improvement fund and voted on the type of things that they're going to put this money on. So what we're asking to do here is not something that's new. We've been working on it for a long time. And like I said before, the town so far hasn't really spent any money on it. We have a very generous donation coming. It's 25% for matches from the town.
Grant writer said it was arranged, but okay.
But most often it's 25%. Currently with this donation and what the town will have spent, that will be $125,000. If it's $1 million project, the town only needs to come up, or rec only needs to come up with another $125,000, and the town matches there without having ever going to the taxpayer and ask for any money. So that's all I got to say about that.
I have some discussion too. So as far as this resolution is concerned, I mean, can there be something amended in there that says that, you know, when the master plan comes out, that we have a public hearing when the actual, not the master plan, when the
construction documents are done?
Yes, construction document comes out?
There is, it's in her proposal.
That there'll be a public, okay, so that's fine. And can the master plan be changed after? Should that be in here, that it can be changed?
So the idea of a master plan, if no one understands what a master plan is it gives you all these different options, and then you go out and you accomplish the options that you can afford as a town. Doesn't mean that we're going to do all of them. Also in the master plan is this great idea to use Wassaic project property and build a BMX pump track / skateboard park for $2 million down on the rail trail. Does that mean we're going to go and do it tomorrow? No, but it's part of the overall master plan guidance to guide this town over the next 10 or 15 years as a goal to work towards.
The way a master plan actually works, Paul, is that a master plan is typically done so you can then make decisions about what pieces of the master plan you want to proceed with.
Isn't that what I just said?
No, you said you didn't say that. You said that it's done so you have an overall plan. You don't have to do it all at once. But typically a master plan includes a direction for what pieces are most important and what the sequence should be of doing it. And so, I mean, you know, I don't have a problem with the way you're defining it, but it isn't the way that it's normally defined.
I think, like our Constitution, it's a living document, and it can be, you know, amended. And that's the beauty of a master plan, you know, so it doesn't have to be one way or another, but there does have to be a consensus as to how it works and what's in it.
Yes, I mean, that's the problem, is about the consensus, is about really giving people in town more of an opportunity to talk about it. But I actually had a much simpler question for you, Ian. This says that we're approving the master plan. Does that include Wassaic and the two other pieces as well?
That was my question, was you have on here Amenia Town Green and Wassaic Park. And I believe we were just accepting Amenia Green tonight. Which is why you wanted the separate construction document proposal.
It might be a typo on my part here. Where,
in the first paragraph.
Bottom of the first
where
paragraph.
am I gotta look quick with my pen apparently here.
It's okay.
Yeah, they're both there. Yeah, they're both there, definitely.
Yeah, I think you just need to take out and Wassaic Park.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So there should be a motion to amend to remove.
Yeah, I
I'll
agree
make
with
that
that.
motion.
I'll second that.
So Nicole and then Paul. Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Council members Winters?
Yes.
Grublar?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
And Ahern?
Yes.
All right, that was all I had for the discussion.
Well, that's, I know, let them, they're still discussing. You guys good?
I also had another question, and I don't know, I actually have several questions, but I think they can probably go with some of the other resolutions. But one of the things that came up today that somebody asked me about, you know, when they're talking about draining, or not draining, and doing something with the floodplain, Number one, whenever you do anything to that effect, the water has to go someplace. I mean, it's just a fact.
Whenever what?
Whenever you displace water, it has to go someplace.
That's correct.
Okay, so my question is, where is that water going to go, number one? And it wasn't just my question. Somebody asked me today about that. And the other question they had was the soil that was going to go in there. You know, what kind of soil was going to actually go in there? And these are all concerns from an environmental impact. So I'm assuming that we will get some kind of report from DEC.
So all of those, you know, we're on step 2 of a 10-step design phase, right? All of these, once Dallas starts working on all this, all of those questions will be resolved and answered through the design phase with her expertise and in coordination with DEC.
And I think that's why we need to make sure that we have a public hearing so that people are aware of that.
Yeah, I think we should make that an amendment to this document.
You don't need to, it's in her proposal.
It's in her proposal, but it's not
Yeah.
specific that it's at the end of each of the 3 phases, and it's not specific. It says she will do that, but it doesn't say that she's going to do that. I can pull that up, but when I looked at it this afternoon, I don't think it was specific. Sorry, it's below this, right? Nope, not that. Oh, is your contract part of this or not?
Yeah.
No.
No, it's going to be
It's in
74, it's
here.
a separate resolution.
Yeah, that would be a different resolution. This is just for the master plan aspect of it. The proposal,
Scope of services.
yeah, is under the,
I think we were trying to,
It's down the line.
rather than stopping for each resolution, I think we were trying to resolve everything now. It would be number 74, which was the end
Sorry. Should have brought it with me. I mean, this is very thorough, and I was impressed with the document generally, but it says under coordination and presentation, the team will coordinate with the town and agencies throughout the application process. The team can attend any meetings as required. The team can attend any presentations and provide presentation materials as required at the outlined hourly rates with a 3-hour minimum fee. So I'm just saying that it does not say specifically that they're going to make a presentation to the town board, to the public, and that there be public comment. So
if you need public comment to make this better for you, I don't, you know.
I know you don't.
I don't have an issue with that so far.
It's right here under analysis. Review the master plan and identify any revisions needed due to more accurate survey information, wetland information, permit and/or code requirements, and town review comments.
the secret review is also indicated.
Correct.
So
Right, the secret is also going to give plenty of
the project wouldn't be able
opportunity.
to happen without
I
a
mean,
secret review anyways, but
so
it is in the
when the
document.
Rec Commission started on this 3 years ago, we were given clear, direct instructions from the Amenia Town Board on how to proceed. And I feel like that Rec Commission has followed those steps. We did what we were asked to do, and this is the plan that we've come up with. We were very aware that it would be a struggle, and so here we are, and we're just asking to keep moving forward, that's all.
All right, we can vote now, right?
Ready?
Yes, because we've already seconded.
Yes, so Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Councilmembers Rebler?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Winters?
Yes.
And Aher.
Yes.
Okay, authorizing, oh no, I did one already.
Transfer of funds now.
I've done two.
You've done two?
Okay, what do we have
Here,
there?
a second one. This is an easy one.
Transferring $15,000 from cell tower revenue to partially fund the Amenia Town Green design and construction plan documents. What number is this? 70?
72.
72. Whereas the town of Amenia Town owns real property located at 12 Washington Court, designated as section 7167, block lot 410168 in the town of Amenia, New York, the premises. And whereas on or about October 17, 2002, the town entered into a master management agreement with J&S Enterprises, Inc., whereas J&S was engaged to arrange for the development, construction, and management of municipal cell tower and manage the ongoing operations. And whereas on or about March 13th, 2003, the town and Dutchess County Cellular Telephone Company, Inc., DBA Cellular One, a subsidiary of American Cellular Corporation and a predecessor in interest to New Singular Wireless, PCS, in parentheses, New Singular Wireless, entered into a tower and landscape agreement, whereas New Singular Wireless leased a portion of the cell tower and the land owned by the town located at 12 Washington Court for the purpose of transmitting wireless service signals and maintaining an equipment shelter. And whereas on or about October 28, 2004, the town and Verizon Wireless of East LP, Verizon Wireless, entered into a tower and land space agreement, whereas Verizon Wireless leased a portion of the cellular tower and the land owned by the town located at 12 Washington Court for the purposes of transmitting wireless signals and maintaining an equipment shelter. And whereas pursuant to resolution number 4 of 2011, $1,200 of a monthly revenue from the Verizon Wireless and New Singular Wireless leases has been deposited into number 1532 Parks and Recreation Bank account residing in the general fund. And whereas the town's intentions to use the $15,000 towards the expense of an architect to draw up design and construction plans for the Town of Amenia Green project in conjunction with a donation of $75,000 from the Amenia Wasake Community Organization, AWCO, to fund and design the construction plan documents. And whereas a budget modification is necessary to increase the appropriation line 7110.4.01 Parks Contractual by $15,000, with the funding coming from the general fund appropriated fund balance. And whereas a further budget modification will also be necessary upon receipt of the $75,000 donation to increase the appropriation line 7110.4.01 and increase the donation income revenue account 2705.01 gifts and donations. Now therefore it be resolved as follows. The recitation set forth above and incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. Number 2, the town board, the town of Amenia hereby authorizes the use of the $15,000 of the funds from the number 1532 Parks and Recreation Bank account residing in the general fund as a partial payment towards the cost of architectural services for the Amenia Town Green project, design and construction documents. Number 3, the town board hereby authorizes the supervisor to execute any and all documents to facilitate this resolution. I make this motion.
I'll second it.
Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Council members Rivler?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Winters?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
Resolution number 73. I'm sorry.
I was going to ask Nicole.
Actually, if you don't mind doing it,
Yeah, resolution number 73 of 2024, authorizing the town board of Town of Amenia to accept a donation from the Amenia Wasaic Community Organization for the Amenia Town Green project, whereas pursuant to Town Law 664, parentheses 8, the town board, Town of Amenia Town may take a gift, bequest, or devise or hold real and personal property absolutely or in trust for parks and gardens or for the erection of statues, monuments, buildings, or structures for any public use upon such terms or conditions as may be prescribed by the grantor or donor and accepted by said town and provided for proper administration of the same. And whereas the Amenia Wausau Community Organization, AWCO, wishes to make a donation of $75,000 to the town of Amenia for the preparation of design and construction for documents for the Amenia Town Green Project pursuant to their letter to the Town of Amenia Recreation Commission, a copy of which is annexed here too. And whereas the town would like to accept from AWCO the donation of $75,000 for the preparation of design and construction documents for the Amenia Green Project as set forth in their letter annexed here too and made a part of hereof. Now therefore it be resolved as follows: the recitation set before above or incorporated in this resolution as it fully set and forth and adopted herein. The town board of Town of Amenia, on behalf of Town of Amenia Recreation Commission and all the residents of the Town of Amenia, hereby gratefully accepts the donation of $75,000 from AWCO for the preparation of design and construction documents for the Amenia Town Green Project pursuant to their letter to the Town of Amenia Recreation, a copy of which is annexed here too. The $75,000 donation will be accepted and deposited in accordance with the provisions set forth in resolution number...
The one before?
The one before?
Yeah, the one before, 72.
72. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a question. I'm assuming that once they get this, right, they'll make the donation, it's deposited, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So is there any follow-up that needs to be done? I mean, is there somebody that has to manage that money? I mean, are they requiring like receipts for things?
So I believe if you read in their donation letter,
yes,
right? It says, where is it at?
The retainer?
So they're asking that as money is released to the architect, that any invoices that are provided, that they also see those invoices before that money is paid out.
and who's going to make sure that's done?
I'm sorry?
Who's going to make sure that's done?
That would be the Recreation Commission.
Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Council members Revillard?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Winters?
Yes.
And Ahern?
Yes.
Will we do the next one?
No.
I'm on a roll.
I know, but I haven't done one in a long time. And I think I actually get to assign. And you didn't want to do one, Rosanna?
I'll do it.
Okay.
What is it, number 70?
That would be 74.
All right, resolution number 74 of 2024, awarding contract for the preparation of design and construction documents based on the Parks and Recreation Master Plan for the Amenia Town Green Project. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Amenia, on behalf of the Town of Amenia Recreation Commission, by resolution number 73 of 2022, awarded a contract to Dodona Associates Landscape Architects, LLC, Dalla, to complete a master plan in support of various site improvements for Amenia Town Green and Wausau Park.
We need to cross that out.
And whereas Dalla has completed the master plan and submitted to the Town of Amenia for approval and acceptance, and whereas the Town Board of the Town of Amenia is now seeking the services of a landscape architect to prepare construction documents for the Amenia Town Green Project, and whereas Dodona Associates Landscape Architects LLC Dalla submitted a proposal dated July 19th, 2023 to the Town of Amenia for the preparation of construction documents, a copy of which is annexed here too, and whereas such services are considered to be professional services and therefore are not subject to the building requirements set forth in General Municipal Law number 103, or the Town of Amenia's procurement policy. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. Number 1, the recitations set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. The Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby awards a contract for preparation of construction documents for the Amenia Town Green Project to Dodona Associates. Landscape Architects LLC, Dalla, in the amount of $89,500 in accordance with the proposal date July 19, 2023, a copy of which is annexed hereto. Number 3, the town board of the town of Amenia hereby authorizes and directs the payment for the preparation of this contract documents be paid from
The Amenia Park, budget line 07110401.
The town board of the town of Amenia hereby authorizes the supervisor to execute a contract for such services after review by the attorney to the town.
I'll make that motion.
But this needs to be amended, I believe, because it does have the...
Yeah, it's going to be the same amendment,
Yeah.
first whereas clause to remove and Mosaic Park.
Okay.
She said that as they were reading.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
And that's for the amendment? Or is that for the motion, guys?
What's the?
It's just for the motion.
I think for the amendment.
Okay. Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Council members Winters?
Yes.
Revlard?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Ahern? And then the motion was made but not seconded on the original as read. So I have Paul making it.
I have a
Nicole.
question. It says here in this, there are additional fees or professional services not included in this proposal. Does that come out of the grant money, or who pays for all that? The filing fees, the large equipment needed, the services or track, all of those that are not covered?
So at this point, Recreation has been able to, like I stated before, Recreation has been able to get to this point without asking the town board for any money from the general taxpayer fund. I think
Beyond what the Recreation Commission has as a budget.
Yeah, I mean, I think they can continue to do that.
So you think that Recreation would be paying for that?
Recreation would definitely, I mean, unless they change their plan, that's always been the plan, is Recreation would handle this.
And also all those fees?
That's the separate, that's hourly rates.
That's only if there's extra, all of a sudden supplemental services that need to happen. That's part of any contract from anybody that we hire.
So my question to you then, though, is still, who pays for that? It's still the...
That would need to come from Recreation.
All right, I'm just checking.
For fees that are in excess of what this is, there would generally, depending on what the fees were, be a change order to it. If there was some, depending on
Right,
the cause of it, there would be a change order behind it.
They
So
would
it
submit
depends
that to
what
Recreation.
happens.
It's just like this, where we're asking for an engineering and land surveying for the Beekman Park, or looking for services for the town garage. Those fees and services in excess, they're going to be in those
Well,
as
exactly
well.
right, but that, I would expect the town to pay for that.
Right.
So, but my question is that the same case for this? Is the town also, in addition to all those fees for those other projects, is the
But
town...
so, as I'll state it again, so far Recreation Commission has been able to move this to this point without coming and asking the town board for anything beyond their budget.
That answer your question?
Yep. I'll remember that, though. I'm writing it down.
All right, do we want to vote on it?
Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Council members Revlard?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes. Yes.
Winters?
Yes.
And Ahern?
Yes.
We have one last resolution, right?
Oh, okay. Authorizing the submission of a grant application for the Amenia Town Green Project, whereas the Town Board of the Town of Amenia, on behalf of the Town of Amenia Recreation Commission, by resolution number 73 of 2022, awarded a contract to Dodona Associate Landscape Architects, Dalla, to complete the master plan in support of various site improvements to the Amenia Town Green and the Wassaic Park. And whereas the master plan has been submitted and approved by the Town Board by resolution number 71 of 2024. And whereas in order to fund the Amenia Town Green Project in accordance with the master plan, the Town of Amenia Recreation Commission is seeking to submit a grant application to the Environmental Protection Fund grant program for Parks, Preservation, and Heritage, EPF, which is a matching grant program for the acquisition, planning, development, and improvement of parks, historic properties, and heritage areas located within the physical boundaries of the state of New York. Whereas the submission of a grant application is a Type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, and therefore not subject to review under SECRA, now therefore it be resolved as follows. The recitation set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. The Town Board of the Town of Amenia has determined this is a Type 2 action under SECRA and therefore not subject to review under SECRA. The Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby authorizes the submission of an application for a grant under the Environmental Protection Fund Grant Program for Parks, Preservation, and Heritage, as well as any and all other documentation necessary for the grant application. For any grant funds received will be deposited in.
And there's state aid and other culture. That's a merge where she wants it. There's for capital aid.
The appropriate budget line?
Because we're gonna have to do a movement up, or state other. Because I'm kind of,
If you do
granted
state
is-
other, you could move it later.
we can always just
Yeah,
transfer it because there's nothing in the line. So but there's culture and rec. So state aid and other, so it's 3889.01, state aid and other cultural and rec.
Could you repeat what the words were there?
State aid, other, cultural,
Oh,
and rec.
okay. 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 Anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I have a question.
You got it. Somebody has to second it first.
Second.
Okay.
All right, I motion.
Who's seconding?
Brad seconded.
Sorry, did we get, when did we get the information on what grant it was going to be?
So this is the same grant that we tried to get done last year in
Okay.
time. They had not released the information yet. I believe that the information should be online here shortly. It's a limited amount of time that they actually release the information on the grant. It's one of the multiple grants that REC will be going for.
Okay. And I have a question. Who will be writing this grant?
We're working on that, the town.
I think last time.
You'd have to step up to the microphone, DJ.
DJ Riley. The town has informed us that they use up all the hours on their grant writer. So we're working with the AWCO. They're going to see if they can get their grant writer to help us out and stuff. So we're working on a couple different avenues.
All right, and again, the cost is going to come out, the cost for the grant writer comes out of rec funds?
I guess it would have to. Whenever the rec commission was told last year that any grant applications that required a grant writer would be covered by the town. If that is changing now, then so be it. But that's the way it was originally.
I'm asking, because I have no idea how much grant writer costs.
I don't know either, but originally, the town board, when we questioned this last year, we were told by the town board or by the supervisor at that time that the town would handle any cost that it would come from as far as a grant writer. If that has changed.
Well, what's changed is you came to us with this so late that the grant writer is committed to other projects.
I understand that. I think the rec commission only found out, 2 weeks ago? That they had this donation all of a sudden thrust upon them. So it's been a little bit of a scramble, there's without a doubt. I'm sure they'll keep working hard at trying to find a way to fund this.
And if the grant, if we get the grant, who's going to manage that?
That would all be, that would be all in the rec commission.
So there's somebody in the rec commission that is going to be able to handle all those receipts and invoices and all the things. There's a lot required for a grant.
Not to interject, but Charlie has been managing, since Charlie has joined the team here at Town Hall, and he's our budget person, he's been managing our grants, and he does a fabulous job with managing the grants, and he is here in the room. He's the one that knows how to do all the, Charlie,
To the extent that they get awarded a grant, yes, I, in my current capacity, will administer the grant. So I don't know what you're applying for. I would just say whatever is being applied for, the town board should ultimately authorize what it's committing the town to. Because in a grant application, it commits the town to do certain things. So normally in the other grants, since I joined at the beginning of the year, have come across my desk and I've said, you need X, Y, and Z to be included so that people knew. But once it's been awarded, yes, because there's deliverables. So with grants, you get a grant for, I don't know, $500,000, but you pay for everything and it's all unreimbursable. So in this instance, if the project was $500,000, you got a grant for, let's say, $500,000, the town board would need to bond the money up front so that then they could pay for the work, and then they would submit deliverables to the granting agency to get reimbursed for it.
Well, I feel better about the fact that you would be managing it, but so we have to pay for this first and then get reimbursed by the grant?
That's often the way the grants
That's the
work. I
way,
don't know about this one. I haven't
yeah,
seen
that's,
this one.
as far as I know, that's how every grant works, including even,
This resolution will authorize them to apply for the grant. If there is a grant awarded, there would have to be a resolution for the board to accept the grant, and that's when this would be.
Exactly.
All of this would come out.
This is
then.
allowing the
Yes.
application.
Yeah.
Correct, this is just for them to apply.
My problem is we don't actually, I have a hard time believing that they release these grants that late and only give us so much time to put them in. So I'm kind of hesitant to go for a grant that we don't have material on, to know what's even expected of us as a board.
Was there a package put together last year or started?
No,
I don't recall.
no, I don't think so. I just feel like this is jumping the gun, this authorizing a grant application for, we don't know what we're authorizing. We would have no material.
It's the same grant that the town worked towards getting ready to apply for last year,
When did we go to apply for this?
in July.
For what?
We tried to use the New York State grant application to pay for the,
Was this for the park equipment
playground.
for the Beekman Park that we didn't
Yes.
get?
yeah.
So
Because,
this
because,
one-
because the town, instead they gave us the money for sidewalks, I believe.
I think the money was, no, I don't think
No,
that's right. It was used
I'm not
for the-
sure.
I think there's two separate things. You're remembering
Yeah.
one of those, yes. So 2 years ago, it was a Dutchess County Community Development Block Grant that the supervisor applied for to replace the equipment in Beekman Park.
Yeah.
She did not get, or the town did not get that. The Rec Commission wanted to apply for
And we
a
couldn't
park
get it together.
grant. But they never did last year. And I don't know which one of their
It's-
multiple park, but it's all under the consolidated funding application, so,
Right.
which is due soon, but I'm not sure which one you're
Yeah.
applying, intend to apply for.
So the park, recreation could not get it together last year to get the information done in time for the New York State Parks and Recreation Grant. So that grant was never applied for.
Okay.
Okay. And I just had one comment, since we're still in discussion, I think, which is just that, again, it concerns me that we are, I mean, I guess there'll have to be a vote when the grant is awarded, but I just want to remind people that it means giving up that property, not being able to change the use of that property to anything else for, I wouldn't say all time, but that's the way it's basically set up.
Did we get that confirmed, Ian? Are you not allowed, is what we're actually, the plan is,
So,
If you accept state funds
it's for the whole parcel?
for
yeah,
a
for a
park,
park. So
it will
whenever,
become it'll be designated as a park. So the only way you can undesignate that would be through special legislation.
if you go online and look at what is considered wetland out there in that field, that covers roughly about 90% of that field. There's a very small portion that the state would allow us to build any kind of buildings on, and that's right up at the edge up here. If this overall plan and review process needs to be pulled back a little bit to accommodate possible buildings in the future, I'm sure that they could do it. Also, Mr. Miller last year in the housing board submitted the idea after this plan was first proposed to the community of taking out the parking lot down there and putting housing there. There's been other ideas, but I'll say once again, 90% of that field down there is covered by New York State DEC wetland rules. You're never going to be able to build any kind of building in that field.
And DEC wetland, they didn't give you a letter, but they told you on the phone that it was okay to raise that field?
No, they did not.
Oh.
But we've also been working with an architect who has been doing this for a living for 30 years and is quite confident that she believes that this is going to go through without any issues.
Okay.
My concern is still, and maybe this is not the place to be concerned, my concern is we're in debt by $2.5 million already. And then we're looking at debt for a town garage, which is sorely needed. And then to go ahead and then put out another bond for $500,000 or however much this grant is, I find it concerning.
Grants are, whenever you take a bond for a grant, the grant pays the money back. That's what you do. I mean, that's part of how you grow a community slightly.
Well, and I think it's important to remember that this process is taking 2 years to get to this point. It's not going to happen.
And this goes right up to the sidewalk here.
There's room here and room here that's buildable.
Right, this is the parking lot here, so, I mean, you'd have to, I mean,
It's 90%.
yeah,
You
you
can
can see it, it's right there.
see it. It's 90% of that field out there is covered by DEC wetlands. You're never going to build anything there.
But I thought at the last meeting,
I'm more concerned about
What's that?
It's a floodplain.
Floodplain, wetland, that's a floodplain, and it's also we have two
The regulations are different.
but we have two endangered species that live behind his town hall. One is the rattlesnake and one is the bog turtle.
I saved a bog turtle on the road this week, so we'll probably get special dispensation.
So when I spoke with DEC, they said the wetland aspect of it was not even going to be that big of a hurdle to jump. The biggest hurdle to jump would be getting through the endangered species portion of it.
Yeah.
There's just a side conversation.
Yeah, I know.
Yes,
Can
okay, so
we have a
get back
vote?
to the vote.
You look at the historical line, which you can barely see, it goes up to the parking lot. and
Yeah, we need it. We have hey, we have a resolution.
Yes,
Do you guys
I've looked
want
at
to
this
do
before.
the submission of the grant or not? Supervisor Blackman?
No.
Councilman Revlard?
Yes.
Councilwoman Ham?
No.
Councilman Winters?
Yes.
Councilwoman Ahern?
no.
Resolution fails.
That's the last resolution, is it not?
Is the last resolution.
Okay, and does anyone have other matters?
Oh, I do, actually.
Thank you, Rosanna.
I have the kiln. What is the status on the kiln property project? But I saw an email that came through about how that's still pending in the planning board, and nothing seems to be happening with that. Does anybody know where that's headed, or?
Yeah, so I'm in conversations with the planning board attorney and the engineer and the supervisor. I just circulated an email to get a conference call together on that, and it looks like Tuesday seems to work for everyone. I haven't confirmed it with Leo yet, but so next week we'll have a meeting on that, and we'll get that project moving along again.
Okay. Thank you.
So, yeah, what's the status of the parking lot striping?
I asked him that, I think.
Every
I wasn't going to pry again.
What, the town hall parking lot?
Every meeting,
The
right?
bottom one, yeah.
I'm sorry?
The bottom one, yeah.
This
The
one?
line
Yeah,
is,
yeah. The, I spoke to Stone Leaf, Chris Forrestal, I think is his name, this week. He said that they're trying to get a date from the person who's actually going to do it, and he would let us know when he's ready to do it. He couldn't give me anything more specific than that.
And the second thing was the SR zoning issue, and I don't know where we stand on that right now, proposing, I think you have a draft resolution, Ian?
No, there was a draft created which was sent to the planning board for review. I can follow up with Paul to see where he is with that. I know Paul's been very busy. I think Paul and myself, have been a lot of us been very busy this last couple of weeks.
I mean, we have been too, so.
I will follow up with Paul on that as well as the kilns, so.
Okay.
I'd like to comment on George's earlier comments, public session comments today, this evening concerning Keen Stud. I think it's important that we as a community start separating what it means for residents up at Silo Ridge and what developers are actually in this community. It's not Silo Ridge that is looking to develop Keen Stud. That's Stoneleaf developers, the same developers who developed the community of Silo Ridge. I feel like that this community consistently lumps tax-paying residents that have chosen to come and live in our community with those developers. And I think it's important that we start trying to educate the public, at least, that Silo Ridge is not developing Keen Stud. That's Stoneleaf developers.
Right.
That's it.
Which developed Silo, right?
Which also develops Silo. There's a huge difference between developers and residents that have purchased a property within our community.
I had something for Leo. Was everybody done commenting on that?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
That's it.
So I had a couple of residents, and I know it's been an ongoing issue down on Sin Patch Road between Castlegate and the Beekman.
I'm sorry, between Castlegate and what?
Berkshire Apartments.
Oh, okay.
The limbs that are resting on the cable wires. It's been brought up to me again by 2 different residents, that to the point where they're afraid to drive that way because they're afraid those might break down. I know the county's been contacted. This has been going on for like over a year, by the way.
Really?
Yes. The county cannot do anything about it, as per my husband, because they are on wires. And it is not power lines, it is optimum lines.
Oh, it's not power lines.
Correct. And I'm
is
not sure, I haven't gotten confirmation if those residents have tried contacting Optimum or not, but I was wondering if maybe as a board, we can call them and have it addressed, because I just feel like they have a contract with us that they're the only ones that can be here. You'd think they'd be a little bit more proactive about limbs that are quite dangerous.
Yeah,
I mean, they're not branches, they're limbs, and they are pushing out those
It's taken
wires
Nancy
now.
Noack about 3 months to get the tablet that the new water operators need to do meter readings, to get that from Verizon. They keep sending the wrong thing, or, I mean, it's just been unbelievable. So I'm not very happy with Verizon at the moment.
Well, this is Optimum.
Well, still.
Cablevision, right? Cablevision Optimum.
Yeah, I guess that's true. You're right.
I'm not sure if residents have tried, but I just figured it might, maybe we'll get some reaction or some movement on it.
I'm happy
because
to-
it is pretty bad.
Okay. I'm happy to call. It would be great if
Yeah.
someone like told me exactly.
I actually have a contact for
Okay.
you.
Great.
Be prepared to be on hold for hours.
Yeah, that's a constant situation there too. But if you have a contact, maybe that will actually get us past all
Yes.
that.
Leo, I can talk to you about that as well, so
Oh,
we can talk about that.
okay.
I mean, the only other thing, Leo, I can think of is on the building inspector's report, there was a notation that you had visited down over 22, the former ARC 38 property,
Right.
and that the house is now deemed unlivable. That was in the report. So across the street, there's a barn and some unregistered cars, and then there's also some old motor homes, and I live right there, so there's persons living in there. Well, did you happen to notice where the person is actually living?
The Bill Henry, who owns the property, I think that may be a nephew of his, who's volunteered to clean out all the debris left by ARC 38 residents. So I think what he's doing there is living in the mobile home temporarily while he cleans out all the kind of stuff that's been left on the outside and the inside of those buildings. I only know that from, who told me that one? It was when I went to look at the site with the people from Hudson River Housing. But maybe Tonya knew that. Anyway, it was one of the people that was on that site visit, and they said that that was what that arrangement was. The building is not livable and hasn't been for a very long time, even though ARC 38 was using it, although it could have just been storage for debris. But it isn't structurally unsound. I walked through that with Mike, and actually the engineer's report even doesn't say that it's structurally unsound. They just say that it's in, that it's in kind of hideous looking. So, but I think that it seems pretty inevitable that the owner now will tear it down, and it was unclear what he might want to build. Because that property also is connected, all the property above, I think the owner is trying to put into land trust, and would just keep that, the bottom of it, for some new development.
So because I do live right there and I see activity, and the person has been living in there for more than a year, Ian, what are the laws against people living in motorhomes on a property? Or zoning laws?
What are the laws against people living like on
Well,
a mobile home, they own a parcel and
Yeah,
have...
if I had a piece of land that I drove in a motorhome and was living there.
It's a camper.
I wouldn't
camper.
know I would not know the answer to that question off the top of my head. I would have to go and look at what your zoning code says on it.
Yeah, a camper. Yeah, so, and it's been going on, well, I mean, this type of thing for years technically, and now there's a sign out there. What is that sign for?
Something about a turtle farm.
Yeah, something like that.
Turtle preserve. I
Yeah.
thought that was interesting.
I wonder if he's got a permit for that.
I mean, you might want to just talk to him, Brown, because...
No, we've tried for a lot of years, actually, on this whole...
So the guy who's living in the mobile home?
Not that person. It's just this is a new person as far as I know.
Yeah, because I mean, the
yeah.
ARC 38 was a whole different cast of characters. And I think, again, this guy is doing a favor to the person who owned originally both sides of the road there.
So I was pleased to see that you did make a site visit, and I'm just, like I said, I know there's regulations. I've been told there's regulations against people living in campers on land.
I just don't know what the situation is between him and the owner of the land either, so Mike Sigelkin might know. I don't know.
I was just going to say, you can also speak to the
Yeah, I have
CEO.
several times.
To Mike?
Oh, yeah.
What's the deadline on the resumes for the part-time building zoning?
Oh, yeah, I meant to mention that earlier, that was another position we were looking to fill.
Well,
I believe we're going to keep it open until it's filled.
Yeah, I think we
okay, so can we have a meeting on that, an executive session on that?
Do we need to consider making
At
that
the
a
next meeting?
full-time position if we're not getting applications?
I think that would make a big difference. I think the problem there is that the rates that we were paying, it had to be exceeded quite a lot, and it was significantly higher than Mike's salary. I probably shouldn't be discussing this in open session, but the point is that the major issue is just that our salaries tend to be lower than other towns around us. Okay. Did you want an executive session?
We do need an executive session for legal advice.
Shall I make that motion?
That would be nice, Leo.
Okay.
That would be.
I'd like to move that we close the public session and go into executive session to discuss some legal matters.
I'll second that.
Well, do you have anything else?
We're not-
With us, we're not closing.
We're not-
just going executive session.
Right, no, I'm not saying we're
For
adjourning.
legal advice with you and I.
Which we're going to be quick.
That's our hope.
That's our hope. Supervisor.
Okay, and thank you all for coming.
You
got catch.
Supervisor? Yes?
What?
Yes?
Yes.
Council members?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. And the time now is 9:18. We'll be real quick.